So, I got into a relationship this year after being single for a very long time, and it was quite the learning experience. So, if you're single, young, inexperienced, or just curious on how you can make a relationship better, then I promise you this is going to be some of the best advice you're ever going to get on how to have the best possible relationship with your partner. Here, I'm going to be going over the 5 biggest lessons I've learned from being in a relationship. Firstly, I've learned that relationships aren't fixed to a certain amount of effort given by each person. When you hear people talk about relationships, they say,
oh, relationships should be 50-50 or 70-30, with one person giving this much to a relationship while the other person gives this much.
And I've honestly found that to not be true. To me, relationships aren't at a fixed amount of effort like 50-50 or 70-30, but they're more like 60-40. With each partner competing to be that 60. What I mean is the healthiest relationships come when each person is putting in the effort to give a little bit more than what they take from the relationship. But if you're stuck in the mindset of only giving 50 to the relationship while expecting your partner to match it, then you're setting guidelines to your relationship that won't help it reach its fullest potential. You need to always go the extra mile for your partner without expecting anything in return. Them being your partner is what you get in return. That's why you decide to be in a relationship with them, right? Because you're getting value from them that you wouldn't have without them. Unless you're one of those people who are getting into a relationship for transactional purposes, then by all means, this video isn't for you. But if you're actually getting in relationships for love, then you need to get rid of that transactional mindset. Like I said, relationships aren't about 50-50, 70-30, none of that, bro. It's each partner competing to give a little bit more than what they receive. Secondly, and this is going to affect a lot of y'all, but social media is the enemy when it comes to valuing your partner. If you're constantly comparing your relationship to what you see online or listening to other people's standards and expectations for a relationship, then you're never going to truly appreciate what you have. What matters most is how you and your partner feel about each other, not what TikTok or Instagram says is relationship goals. To be honest, social media is full of a lot of single and miserable people who never even had quality relationship experiences themselves, trying to tell you how you should operate in a relationships and planting seeds of superficiality into your mind, which is just going to ruin everything. Being open-minded will set you up for the best results. A lot of people nowadays are just so judgmental and setting their expectations of relationships based off things that people have told them on social media.
Oh, a man should be this in order to be a good partner. He should be this tall, make this amount of money, act this way.
And on the other side, it's like,
oh, a woman needs to be like this. She needs to have this little of a sexual history. She needs to be this submissive to you. She needs to act this way, blase, blase.
And those talking points are just gonna not only give you unrealistic expectations for a relationship, but set you up for failure, set you up for looking for things that don't truly matter. And it'll also limit you from finding something truly genuine because you're so focused on what someone is able to provide for you rather than what type of person they really are. And I know a lot of people suffer from this. Even I did at one point. And a lot of those things align with the patriarchal system that we grew up in. I know for me, it was hard to de-influence myself to believe those things, especially being nurtured to believe those things at a young age. When you would talk about dating when you were younger, you would talk to people who were just like you, who didn't really know what they were talking about. You know, the lunch table talks, the after school talks, the talks with your boys. You know what I'm talking about. And a lot of these talks were people just regurgitating the same things that they were taught to believe. And nobody really had any experience to form any logical conclusions or any solid basis behind what they were talking about. So all you came out of it was expectations for a relationship that didn't really matter. And that's just what you learned throughout your life. Third point is trust is the foundation. You cannot build a strong relationship without it. And I don't just mean trusting that your partner won't cheat. I mean trusting them in every sense of the word. You have to trust their words, their actions, their intentions. You have to believe that they have your best intentions at heart. And if you're coming into a relationship with trust issues, whether it's from past trauma or fear, then you're eventually just going to suffocate that relationship. And this was one of the hardest things for me to learn. Without trust, there is no foundation. Constantly second guessing, not trusting, testing your partner will eventually drive them away, or it will drive you to doing some of the same things that you feared them doing. That ties back into what I was talking about social media. One thing about social media is it always inflates the negatives and suppresses the positives. So you'll spend all your time on social media looking at all these negative scenarios from other people and just building trust issues based off of that because you believe that that's just bound to happen to you because you see it so often. You see all these videos of people being bad partners, getting cheated on, getting treated like trash, and it starts to become so integrated into your brain that it develops trust issues, right? And if you take that into a relationship, then it's bound to fall apart. It doesn't matter how loyal, thoughtful, considerate your partner is if you don't fully trust them and you're just making up fake scenarios in your head about what could happen rather than what they're actually showing you. I'm not saying blindly trust anybody that comes into your life. I would assume that if you've gotten into a relationship, you've taken a proper enough assessment on their character and feel good enough about them to make them such a huge part in your life. But if you've gotten to that point, you need to fully put your faith in them and not question their love or loyalty unless they give you an obvious reason to. And I mean in every scenario, no matter what, whether they're going out with friends, whether they're hanging out with a friend of the opposite gender, and y'all might hate me here, y'all might not agree, but let's say, I don't know, a friend of the opposite gender is flying in from another state and wants to come and visit and stay with them for a few days. Now, whether you agree that that's appropriate to do in a relationship or not is fully up to you. I feel like in most scenarios that shouldn't happen, but what I'm saying is that if it came down to it, you need to have full trust in your partner that they're going to do right by you no matter what. Now, I know you might be looking at the screen a little crazy right now, like,
this is cuck advice, Cam. Like, this is advice for cucks.
And I'm not going to call you brainwashed or say something like you're closed-minded for thinking that way. I understand. Trust me, I do. But what I'm saying is that if you don't have enough trust in your partner that they're going to do the right thing no matter the situation, then you might want to stay single, gang. You might want to stay single. I really feel like it comes down to your perspective on things and how much trust you decide you want to have in your partner. Because having just an inkling of untrustworthiness in your partner and not trusting that they'll do right by you no matter what would just, I feel, limit your experiences and limit the amount of fun the other person is going to have in a relationship, and you as well. All right. The fourth thing I've learned is that relationships require consideration. Every decision you make doesn't just affect you anymore. It affects your partner too. Something as simple as how you spend your free time, who you hang around, and how you act in tough times also impacts them. And if you're not ready to think about somebody else when you're making your choices, then you might not be ready for a relationship. Literally everything gets affected when you get into a relationship. Your free time, your finances, your energy. And if you're someone like me who's selfish with any of those things, then you're better off being single, truly. Even things like who you spend your time around, what you post, how you move, all that comes with knowing your partner. And if you know doing things a certain way has an effect on your partner, then you need to adjust how you do things so it has the most positive effect on them possible. Now, I'm not saying every aspect of your life needs to be catered to your partner. What I am saying is that you need to adjust how you do things so that you can serve them in a way that properly fits their needs. And all of that stuff comes down to communication. If you don't properly know your partner, then to be honest, you won't know the best way to serve them. You need to know your partner's soul and be intertwined with them so that you can keep that bond strong. And on to the fifth point, this last one is personal. I realize that I don't always have the emotional intelligence or selflessness that I need to even be in a relationship. And that was hard for me to admit to myself because sometimes we want to be in a relationship because it feels good, or we don't want to be alone, or we're horny. But if we can't show up fully as the partner that someone deserves, then we shouldn't even bring them into our lives and get their hopes up. For me, it meant acknowledging that I wasn't in the right place to put someone before myself. And honestly, realizing that is helping me grow. It's better to take a step back, work on yourself, and come back when you're truly ready, rather than hurting someone in the process. And I did hurt someone. This video isn't about things that I've learned from a relationship that I'm currently in, but it's about things that I've learned from a relationship that I was recently in, which probably ended in the worst way possible. I was unloyal and I hurt them. And I apologize probably more times than I can count, but a sorry isn't going to change what I did. The only thing I can do now is try to be a better person, grow, and not hurt anybody like that ever again. And it starts with being 100% honest with myself and anyone that I bring into my life, or not bringing anyone else in my life, period, for a long time. That's something I'm holding myself accountable to just fully focus on myself, my journey, my business, and just becoming the best version of myself. I never said I was perfect. Just because I post self-development content and talk about being closer to God and being the best version of yourself doesn't mean I'm there myself. Every topic I talked about on this channel is either something I went through or something that I'm currently going through. And they're a sincere reminder to myself to say, hey, you got a lot of fucking work to do before you're ready to help anyone. But if my experiences can help anyone, then I feel like the vulnerability is worth it. So I may not be perfect. I may not even be a good person to a lot of you guys in your eyes anymore. But, all I can do is work on myself, hold myself accountable to be the person that I want to be, and have enough self-awareness to admit when I fall short. But yeah, that's my life, and those are 5 of the biggest lessons that I've learned from being in a relationship. So if you've been through something similar or have any lessons, be sure to drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.